Feels like it's been years since my last segment. Um, I hope and pray that everyone is handling and coping as best as possible right now during this pandemic. Man, who would have thunk it, huh? I know not me, but we're in it and we all in it and we all equally in it. So, I just wanted to check in with you and to see if you've been taking time to take a breath and to work on things that might distract you from going down the rabbit hole of anxiety and worry and what ifs and this has never happened before, you know? And I'm hoping that, especially for those of you who are alone, who live alone, who don't have a support system, I hope that my segments help you know that you're not by yourself. And you watch them as many times as you need to, just to feel like you're not alone in this. Because, man, this is some heavy stuff we're dealing with. So I'm hoping and praying for everyone, and we can make it through. So thank you for allowing me into your world at this busy overload time of information. And I want to give you props for doing something to help yourself, because hopefully these segments will give you some support while you do have some time. I mean, think about it. You're forced to stay home. And you can only read so many books, which I have. I have 4 books open that I'm reading right now. Watching movies and television, you can only do so much, Some things I'm doing to help me cope is I love gardening. I love farming. We had a garden all our lives growing up with my parents. In the backyard, we had corn and bell pepper and eggplant, tomatoes, okra. We say okra down here. But anyway, yesterday I went out and I dug in the ground and I got my hands, in the dirt, and I smelled the soil, and I just felt at one with nature. And they had butterflies. Thank God it's the springtime. And I know it's still cold where some of you are, but they have butterflies and mosquito hawks, or y'all might call them dragonflies, and bees and birds and a breeze. And I stopped because I have to make myself stop, because my instinct as a nurse my whole life is to be out on the front lines fighting. And I can't because I'm so immunocompromised. And you'll be surprised how many people in the healthcare profession have illnesses. And I think, like for me, that made me want to get into the medical field, because I always wanted to be instrumental in finding a cure for diabetes. And I still haven't given up on that. But anyway, I just hope that right now you are feeling a little more comfortable and that my voice is soothing you and reminding you to take a breath, because we have to pace ourselves. So while we're in the midst of this, why not do something that can help us? So this segment is the long-awaited food segment. And I'm going to take my time. More than likely, there'll be a part 1 or 2. We'll see. But in the meantime, it's about the food. And it's not about the food, but it really is about the food. So if you have been home during this pandemic that has gone viral, literally, that's my corny joke, how many people have been eating their asses off? Raise your hands. Hey, the minute The minute I'm not honest with you all, I'm selling y'all short. I'm a human being. I always say I might be an educator. I might have lived with this disease. I might have thrived with it, but I'm human. So don't be putting all those hard boundaries on yourself and beating yourself up because you might have done something that you typically wouldn't do if you were not stressed out. I'm not making excuses for you, but I want you to understand now is a time to be gentle with yourselves. And if you're caregivers, if you are watching this, now is not the time to be hard on the people in your house living with diabetes about what they're eating and doing, because that's your outlet for your stress. Because 9 times out of 10, you have high blood pressure and you eating potato chips and pickles, high sodium items like crazy. So let's just call a spade a spade. And the only reason I could go there is because I know. And I know what I know. So anyway, to my people living with diabetes who are binge eating, and if you have high blood pressure and other chronic illnesses, you have to find, first off, a diversion from doing that, okay? I mentioned in another segment, I came off of being in recovery for 8 weeks after surgery, which actually worked in my favor because I haven't been out to be exposed to the coronavirus, because if I get it, I already know. I'm so immunocompromised that it would be a miracle for me to get it and survive. So that's always nagging in the back of my head. So we thinking about that. We getting that reinforcement on social media. We getting that reinforcement on the news. We getting that reinforcement on the telephone, talking to our loved ones. And it's always there. And so we start thinking, how am I going to cope when I want that bag of potato chips? Or I want that thing of cookies. Or I'm going to eat that bluebell ice cream. Or I'm going to just eat my behind off. I'm going to eat a ton of rice. And I'm going to eat a ton of red beans and rice. And I'm going to eat 15 pounds of crawfish and elevate my blood pressure so high that I'm going to threaten a stroke and a diabetes disease. Blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't stop. So this is just an example of what I see and what I know is going on, because I see a lot of stuff on social media. I see people post stuff on social media telling people to do things that are not safe physiologically. Okay? So we know our bodies are different. We are all human fingerprints. We all masterpieces. Everyone is different. Everybody's body is different. Even if I had a twin, our bodies would be different because that's how we are designed. So knowing that, we have to have the understanding that everyone responds to things differently. We respond to how we eat differently. We respond to how we take medicines differently. We respond to how our body fights off a virus differently, because we are all unique. And I say that because I see people making recommendations that are broad, and we have to take into account that everyone is an individual. So that's why I specifically in my segments make sure not to try to divert you from what your doctor is telling you or your wellness provider is telling you to do. I'm their advocate. I'm working with them. So that way you can get the best deal, because you see them, you get instructions from them, and then if you watch me, I might be able to give you some insight as to how to implement it successfully and make the behavior change and self-management change you need to be successful managing your diabetes, whether you have a pandemic going on or whether, as I say, all is well in the world. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about food, because we are all home, many of us, and we all have food. We have to stock up. You know, like my parents always say, God bless the child. I get it, you know, but it's, what are you buying? What are you consuming?